I'm Imran Jattala, I'm your host for today. CxO Global Forum की तरफ से I welcome you all. CxO Global Forum जो है वो meets the leader एक सीरीज ऑर्गेनाइज करता है where we invite industry leaders ताकि आप उनसे जो लेटेस्ट इंडस्ट्री ट्रेंड्स हैं उन पर सीख सकें, बात करें ताकि नॉलेज आगे बढ़ सके और हम लर्निंग्स शेयर कर सकें एक दूसरे के साथ. So we have an exciting panel today और उससे पहले की नोट भी है. We welcome you all. Formally इवेंट शुरू करने से पहले we'll start with तिलावत.
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम इक़रा बिस्मि रब्बिकल्लज़ी खलक़.
पढ़िए अपने रब के नाम. उसने तक से तख्लीक किया.
इक़रा व रब्बुकल अकरम.
पढ़िए और आपका रब बड़ी इज्जत वाला है.
अल्लज़ी अल्लम बिल क़लम.
जिसने कलम के जरिए से इल्म सिखाया.
अल्लमल इंसान मा लम यअलम.
इंसान को वो इल्म दिया जिसे वो जानता न था.
सदक़ल्लाहुल अज़ीम.
Ladies and gentlemen, I request you all to please rise for the national anthem of Pakistan. What's really interesting and exciting about the digital creative economy is कि अगर आप स्टार्टअप बैकग्राउंड से आ रहे हैं, कोई टेक स्टार्टअप कर रहे हैं, बैंकिंग से आ रहे हैं, डिजिटल बैंकिंग, रेगुलेटर, दूसरे टेक्नोलॉजी कंपनीज, वी ऑल आर बिकमिंग पार्ट ऑफ द फ्यूचर डिजिटल क्रिएटिव इकोनॉमी. ये वो एक जगह है जहाँ हम सारे इकट्ठे हो रहे हैं और यहाँ वो एवेन्यू बनता है जहाँ हम पाकिस्तान जैसी इमर्जिंग इकोनॉमीज को ग्रो करवा सकते हैं, जहाँ पे प्रॉस्पेक्ट्स बहुत ब्राइट है. ऑल वी नीड इज एन इंटरनेट और एक कंप्यूटिंग डिवाइस एंड वी कैन कम्पीट विद एनीवन सिटिंग एनीवेयर इन द ग्लोब. सो इस पर बहुत डिटेल में हम आज डिस्कशन स्प्रेड करेंगे. आई वुड लाइक टू इनवाइट मिस्टर कंवल मसूद फॉर अ वेलकम नोट.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम जी. थैंक यू सो मच इमरान. मैं आज बहुत ज़्यादा शुक्रिया अदा करूँगा NSTP की मैनेजमेंट का जिन्होंने हमें ये अपॉर्चुनिटी दी कि हम इस तरह के अपने इवेंट जो है कराते रहें. CxO ग्लोबल फोरम एक इमर्जिंग प्लेटफॉर्म है और स्टार्टेड इन 2019 और हमारा प्लान यही था कि हम एक इमर्जिंग प्लेटफॉर्म बिल्ड करें फॉर नॉलेज शेयरिंग और इसी तरह की एक्टिविटीज़ जो हैं वो कंट्रीब्यूट करती हैं टू बिल्ड द नॉलेज इकोनॉमी. एंड मैं सबका शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ. CxO ग्लोबल इस वक्त तकरीबन 550 मेंबर्स से ऊपर जा चुका है अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह विद इन 3 इयर्स और हमारी एक्सपेक्टेशन यही थी कि हम बहुत एक सर्टन नंबर तक आएंगे बट हमने बहुत जल्दी एक ट्रैक्शन बिल्ड की और एक बहुत बड़ा गैप था. हमारे लिए इतना ही काफ़ी है कि पहला फोरम है जो कि पाकिस्तान ओरिजिन है. अभी तक जितने भी फोरम्स इस तरह के डेवलप हुए हैं वो बाहर से होते हैं. हमारी सबकी यही कोशिश है कि इस प्लेटफॉर्म को हम इतना बड़ा बना दें कि ये ग्लोबल चला जाए और वहाँ पे हम इंटरनेशनल पाकिस्तानीज़ हैं, जो वो कम्युनिटीज़ हैं, जो स्टार्टअप्स हैं जो डियास्पोरा है उनको हम इन्वॉल्व करके यहाँ पे पाकिस्तान को एक स्ट्रॉन्ग कंट्री बना सकें इंशाल्लाह, और उसमें हम काफ़ी हद तक आगे आ चुके हैं। सेकंड प्रोजेक्ट हमारा शुरू हुआ है विच इज़ CxO सिटी, सेंटर ऑफ इंटीग्रेटेड टेक्नोलॉजी एंड इनोवेशन। ये तकरीबन 7-8 साल से हम लोग प्लान कर रहे थे, बट हमें अभी अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली इस्लामाबाद में कि वी हैव गॉट टू लैंड नियर इस्लामाबाद एयरपोर्ट, और वहाँ पे हम एक काफ़ी बड़ा एक टेक्नोलॉजी क्लब बिल्ड कर रहे हैं, प्राइवेट प्लेटफॉर्म, और हम सबको इनवाइट करेंगे कि इस प्लेटफॉर्म में हमारे साथ हों। इसमें कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर भी है, इसमें प्राइवेट सेक्टर भी है, और एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म बिल्ड होगा जहाँ पे जो नया टैलेंट है उसको प्ले करने के लिए हर तरह का टेक्नोलॉजी इक्विपमेंट वहाँ पे मौजूद होगा इंशाल्लाह। तो आप सब लोगों की सपोर्ट की वजह से ये इंशाल्लाह हम डेवलप कर सकेंगे। आज के इवेंट के लिए मैं सबका शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ। इमरान, आपने सारा सेटल किया ये वेन्यू को, और इसका आपको बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। सारे पार्टिसिपेंट्स का, नोमान अजहर साहब का, नौशाद मिनहास साहब का, समीना रिजवान आपका, रिजवान अख्तर साहब आपका, एंड जावेद साहब, आपने मुझे आइडिया है कि आपने टाइम बड़ी मुश्किल से निकाला है, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका। और मैं अगेन स्टेज जो है वो इमरान के हवाले करूँगा। थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू वेरी मच कमल भाई। आज का इवेंट शुरू करते हैं। वी वुड लाइक टू बिगिन विद अ की नोट। की नोट के लिए हम इनवाइट करेंगे मिस्टर नोमान अजहर को। नोमान अजहर इज अ यंग डायनामिक बैंकर। पाकिस्तान में अगर बैंकिंग और डिजिटल बैंकिंग को आप फॉलो कर रहे हैं तो इज वन ऑफ द लीडर ऑफ इमर्जिंग बैंकिंग इंडस्ट्री इन पाकिस्तान। बहुत सारी अमेजिंग चीज़ें करी हैं नुमान भाई ने पिछले 5 सालों में पाकिस्तानी बैंकिंग इंडस्ट्री के अंदर, और बैंकिंग ने और डिजिटल बैंकिंग ने स्पेशली इस डिजिटल क्रिएटिव इकोनॉमी को इनेबल करना है। सो मैं बहुत ज़्यादा सीक्रेट सुनकर नहीं चुराना चाह रहा हूँ, उन्हीं से सुनते हैं कि डिजिटल क्रिएटिव इकोनॉमी को वो किस तरह से एम्पावर करेंगे और कैसे पाकिस्तान की ग्रोथ को अनलॉक करेंगे। सो प्लीज पुट योर हैंड टुगेदर फॉर मिस्टर नुमान।
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Very nice to see you, Noman. कैसे हैं? We were colleagues together in Islamabad. I learned a lot from Noman. He was actually my senior there. I joined NSTP technically. You remember that, right? So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Imran sahab. Thank you very much, STZA. Thank you very much, Iqbal, for introducing everything. Obviously, just Imran sahab ne bataya, so I'll try to keep it simple. I'm not that kind of a leader that Imran has explained to you guys. But if I tell you 4.5 years ago, I would have taken it seriously negative for me to be called as a banker. If you remember, we had a press release from HURD when I think I was with you in US, and there was a press release, a young dynamic banker led something, and I had to call pro-Pakistani guy Amir and told him, like, you know, I'm kind of offended. He said, why? I said, I don't want to be called as a banker. So unfortunately, that's a reality. But today, I'm super proud of being a banker. In 5 years, either the system changes you or you change the system. I have been successful in not only changing the system to the level I can, but the system has changed me at all and gave me the maturity that it is not a profession which you should be kind of linking to a positive or a negative sentiment. It is a person, and it is an ability of people altogether to not only change the way they live, change the way people around them live. So we started off our journey, and whatever today we see all around us, it's a contribution of a lot of people who have been trying to change the way banking has been happening in Pakistan. When we talk about this, and obviously if I remain to the topic, and I will go to the second part of the topic first, and then we'll come back to digital creative economy. Web 3.0. How many of you know what is the difference between Web 1.0 or 2.0 or 3.0? किसी को डिफरेंस पता है? बड़ा बेसिक है सर, आपको तो पता होगा, आप जिस पर आप तो ऐसे ना करें सर। सर बड़ा सिंपल सा, अगर साहब गुड। सो मैं आपको मज़े की बताता हूँ कि जब तक एज ए यूज़र हम चीज़ें यूज़ कर रहे होते हैं, हमें बहुत ज़्यादा डिटेल्स नहीं पता होती। सो बीइंग पार्ट ऑफ यूज़र जर्नी, हम जिस वक्त एक इंटरनेट यूज़ करते थे, एज ए स्टूडेंट यूज़ करते थे, तो हमें नहीं पता होता था वेब 1.0 पे है, और जब उसने कुछ और करना शुरू कर दिया तो हमें ये नहीं पता था कि 2.0 है। बट जब आप टेक्निकल एक्सपर्टीज़ वाली साइड पे आना शुरू करते हैं, जहाँ पे आपने एक्चुअली लोगों को फैसिलिटेट करना होता है, तो आपको वो चीज़ें भी सीखनी पड़ती हैं जो जनरली आपको नहीं पता होती। सो वी लर्नड इट। सो इफ आई पुट इट वेरी सिंपल, इन अ वेरी सिंपल वे, वेब 1.0 विल बी जहाँ पे यू कैन नॉट ओनली कैन ओनली सी व्हाट इज हैपनिंग ऑन योर स्क्रीन. When you started interacting with that screen, two-way interaction शुरू हुई, that became 2.0. Till date, if I'm not wrong, there's no one definition for Web 3.0, but it's exploring. Basis उसकी दो चीज़ों पे है, ये दो से ज़्यादा भी होगी, but technology is one. Basis 3.0 is basically identifying, evaluating new technologies where they can kind of put their database on, which is blockchain, and then the learning has to happen through AI and ML and many different stuff. When I put that definition, limited definition, into the context of what is happening today in the bank, which links to the first part of the event scope, banking altogether will change when we will think of things happening on metaverse, when we'll think things happening on Web 3.0, obviously eventually happening on the cryptocurrency and the currency side as well. Today we are very stringent on that. Obviously there are possible reasons to that. We are a country which is exposed to the threat of money going out of Pakistan, which is very critical, and especially if it is going out of Pakistan, it is always in the foreign currency. We are a country we really direly need foreign currency coming into Pakistan and not letting it go out. So we are skeptical about giving these cryptocurrencies and all these a trial. Having said this, it's happening, it will happen, no regulation, no kind of regulatory body will be able to stop individual person to change, and that is a change that has happened or that evaluated because of the technology today. So if we like it or not, everyone can make a Binance account. We like it or not, they have their ways of funding that Binance account. We like it or not, eventually they will find a way to throw that money out of Pakistan. So it's better to create something which can kind of have a closed loop economy within Pakistan. Now, when we talk about digital creative economies, we have transformed from a very purely cash-based country to a country which has just started doing cashless transactions. I will not say we have advanced a lot, but that country has a population of 220 million people. 220 million people, if you develop something, irrespective of what tech you use, irrespective of the scope of that startup initiative or whatever you call it, if you are successful in doing or implementing it, kind of in a proper way in Pakistan, you are doing it for the 7th largest country in the world, right? 4th or 7th? Fifth largest country in the world. So for the entire world, you have done your rigorous stress testing while limit. So you can just go out and sell it anywhere else. If I see Pakistan from the other side of the table, I see that there are too many players coming in, too many offerings coming in, which is the real value, because of the fact that there is meat in the market, because of the fact that we have 220 million people. A lot of local startups, local investors and international investors are doing a lot of stuff, or try doing a lot of stuff. In our recent journey, we did, when we started off our journey in JS Bank, we thought we are going to digitize the entire bank. And we started it off five and a half years ago. We digitized almost 20% of the banking processes successfully. But what we really, kind of evaluated or realized in that process is, you cannot transform a bank which has been there for 15 years or 70 years in Pakistan, and as an industry which is one of the oldest industry in the world, you cannot just transform that 100%. So if we want to do, or if we want to, kind of become a part of this digital creative economy in the future, what we have to do is to spin off and bring, kind of build something from ground up. So that's how Zindigi was launched. I'm sure you guys will know about Zindigi. It's a complete digital bank, and aspiring to take license from State Bank of Pakistan and become a digital bank in Pakistan. We launched on January the 18th, 2022. As I speak, we have already crossed 500,000 customers on that. We are very, kind of interested in knowing the investments possibility in our society. Till date, we have been offering good economical solutions, good financial solutions, but I think there is a dire need of working in the savings and investment sides of the business. We introduced mutual funds and stock purchase and sell on a live basis within the Zindigi app. That's getting a phenomenal response. So maybe all of you or any one of you is trying to do something, trying to kind of be a part of this digital creative economy. I would say do consider investing your time and technology in making something which is related to investments and savings, because our Gen Zs and millennials are really concerned about this. वो हमारी तरह नहीं है जिनको रोज के पैसे मिलते थे, रोज खर्च कर देते थे. They're really bothered. Even a 14-year boy fights with us to open up his account and give him the liberty that he doesn't need his father to know what he's doing. This is his money once he's taken it from his father. He wants to invest in stock exchange, don't stop in. Though obviously regulatory wise कुछ चीजें भी रोकनी पड़ती हैं, but then again we get the heat out of them. That's the potential. So I will appreciate people and I will just give a direction. Obviously the panel is going to discuss it in the detail. If you can develop something on the blockchain technology which is closely related to financial services and specifically in investments and savings, I see a bright future there. So that's all from my side. I'm available if you have any questions. Obviously, I'll have to answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Noman. Director NSTP, Dr. Salman has joined us. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Imran, GM Innovation, who looks after this facility. Thank you very much for your support, sir, and enabling us to put up this show today. We look forward for many more such series, at least happening once a month here at NSTP. कमल भी हमने हर महीने एक ही करना है. And now we would like to move on to the panel discussion. We have really exciting speakers for our panel discussion as well. Noman bhai, आप panel पे नहीं आएंगे बस?
Noman, he's not on the panel.
So सबसे पहले मैं invite करूँगा Miss Samina Rizwan. She has 25 years of telco and IT experience, and now she heads CodeforPakistan. बहुत सारे coders produce कर रही हैं जिन्होंने लाइफलाइन बनना है सारे टेक स्टार्टअप्स का, फ्रीलांसिंग इकोनॉमी का. तो बहुत सारी एक्साइटिंग हमें चीज़ें इनसे सुनने के लिए मिलेंगी. वेलकम मिस समीना रिजवान. Next I would like to invite Mr. Javaid Iqbal. He too has a 20 plus years of experience. 25 नहीं का लोग guess कर लेते हैं एज पे. So he has experience in Pakistan and Silicon Valley, working with IT companies, with big brands like Oracle as well. And now he's part of the regulator who's really shaping up and building up the innovation economy or the future digital creative economy. So please put your hand together for Mr. Javaid. Then I would like to invite my favorite banker, ex-banker. Mr. Naushad has been with the banking industry for the last 20 years. About 2 years ago, he gave up with banking. He realized he just need to reinvent the banking industry, and that's what he's doing. First with Moderator company, and now with Fasset. And Fasset is an upcoming Binance. Binance का कितने लोगों को पता है? Naushad, छोड़ना मत. ठीक है? Fasset is an upcoming Binance of Pakistan. So please welcome Mr. Naushad. Last but not least, Mr. Rizwan Akhtar. He has 25 plus years of experience in regulatory, IT, technology, LI. उसको ये खुद explain करेंगे.
I'd rather not.
So please put your hand together for Mr. Rizwan. Rizwan is currently CTO of Inbox Technologies. पहला क्वेश्चन कैसे पूछूं?
मुश्किल वाला
खातून के होते हुए कैसे आप?
मैं दूसरे तीसरे नंबर पे जाऊँ.
That's a good
पहले
escape.
सबको अपनी क्रिप्टो और NFTs और सारी बात कर लिए, उसके बाद
चलिए हम सरकार से शुरू करते हैं.
सरकार से करें. ये सही
सरकार के बाद में आया.
डिजिटल क्रिएटिव इकोनॉमी जावेद भाई और डू इनोवेशन क्या है लोगों के लिए, अगर उसको आसान करके समझाना चाहें. एंड व्हाई डिजिटल क्रिएटिव इकोनॉमी फॉर पाकिस्तान?
Sir, Mike.
Excuse me.
जी प्लीज.
I'm from Tunisia. I can't understand Urdu.
Okay.
So,
Oh.
we try to stick with English. Yes.
Apologies, we will try to be in English.
But if we get all emotional and excited and go
Yeah,
something
that
in
might,
Urdu,
that's
don't mind.
understandable, of course.
If you hear Urdu, it means something wrong.
Thank you.
Sir, how many sessions?
Spring.
So welcome to Pakistan, Khalid.
Thank you.
It's exciting to have somebody from outside Pakistan as well. So welcome, and I hope you get to learn and you get to teach us a few things as well.
I
Or
hope
you're
if
part
I
of
can,
it.
that would be very much, it goes both ways.
Thank you for the invitation. First of all, Kamal, CxO, mashallah, they're doing well. And just like any other ecosystem that is needed to grow a knowledge economy in the country, I think you guys are doing as good a job as all the leaders as well, and we need you to continue to do that. So thank you for doing that. In regards to our definition of knowledge economy, and I'll get to the creative part as well, there was a realization a couple of years ago that Pakistan as a country has missed the boat on ecosystems. We have pockets of excellence that exist in many parts of the country. It was really comforting to see when I came here today. This is my first time at NSTP, and mashallah, this is fabulous. I'd heard a lot. Even my boss was associated with that, Dr. Ali, who heads our market intelligence as well, is from Minhas, and he's a proud member of this community as well. And I think the way ecosystems like these evolve and cultivate knowledge across the board, these are the very foundations of multitudes of technological innovations, including the creative side. We missed the boat. We did not, as a country, invest in these types of cross-functional learnings that includes creation of STEM with a combination of arts and cultures and other facets of society as well. And now that we're starting to live our lives through these multitudes of technological innovation, I think we're starting to see the semblance of every piece of creative side and non-creative side stemming with some sort of a technology platform. I was just talking to somebody about vital signs. आप मुझे बता रहे थे. And it took me back to how those albums were created versus how we used to assume that level of innovation on those little cassettes. Some of us might remember that, and some of these probably won't. We used to go to this shop called Offbeat. It's in Karachi and Lahore. I don't know if there's one in Islamabad. We used to give them our favorite list of songs to put them on a cassette which had a side A and a side B. And then when the side A was done, it was 60 minutes or 90 minutes, you had to turn the side as well. Now think about how that entire operation has evolved in terms of how a piece of content, which was music, was conceptualized, recorded, brought to us, and how it is done today. Now all you need is a mobile phone and probably just not even a listening device. I don't know how a lot of that journeys have taken place as well. So as we start thinking about how these advances are starting to happen, we have to look at not only how they are created, how they are sold, but how they are looked at from a governmental side and a regulatory side as well. Because every piece of innovation cuts through multitudes of industries. And as government starts to look at how we regulate each piece, how we tax each piece, we have to start seeing across the multiple facets of the various sectors that are involved. And interestingly, technology is no longer a vertical, it's a sector agnostic horizontal. Software se baat ab bahut aage chalegi. You cannot just look at software creation and some sort of web creation as our aspect of computing. We have the foundational rails of computing on demand when it's needed with cloud. we have the multi-dimensional data structures and evolved processes with blockchain. And every aspect of metaverse that takes human innovation, AR, VR, and sort of maps it into a universe that is not one-dimensional. Now, when you add dimension to things, it's hard to conceptualize, let alone regulate. So we're all in this together. Whether you are part of the creation of it, part of the teaching of it, part of the selling of it, or part of regulating of it. We are all learning from each other. Anyone who has 20 plus years of experience, I'm assuming I'm one of them here in this room, yes, we bring our ways of innovative pieces to this equation. But someone who's 14 years old, to what Noman suggested as well, has same level of experience and exposure to a technological piece using a phone or some device that they use to game with or compute with that we do. We just have a little more life experiences to share with them. So I think as we look at the creative side of all of these things, how they all map together, we have to start seeing how our cultural aspects also embed into them as well. How we use technology, how we use the music side we just talked about, the art side, the multitudes of others as well. Gaming, someone referenced earlier. I was privy to a gaming arena a month or so ago where they were plotting millions of little objects and stitching them together and creating a universe around them. So think of everything around us that we can stitch together and create a building, a human face, and others like that. So just like technology is heading in the direction of multitudes of not just innovative prowess, but also different types of dimensions, I think we have to start learning in those dimensions as well. So that's, in my opinion, the basics and the foundations. And we as regulators are also learning on how we start to put policies around them that, one, leaves a little bit of a free hand for this, but two, keeps a little bit of a check and balance as well. Because we can't just leave you off to the races where we just go and break every rule in the book. You have to have certain level of somewhat of an adult supervision, whatever adult means in this case. That would be my answer.
Well, thank you very much, Javaid. If I can build on what Javaid just said, that the Web3 and the future digital creative economy means that everything in tech will get connected, and the fundamental difference in Web3 is ownership. So like we have ownership of physical assets, Web3 means ownership of digital assets. So they're like for 14 years, like my daughter is 7 years old and she's playing Roblox and she's producing poems and different things in that game. And these kids have attachment to those assets just like we have attachment to our physical assets. Like we own our phone, like we own our watches. These younger lords are owning those digital assets just like we own physical assets. So Web3 means a parallel whole new universe. And that opens up a new universe of opportunity as well. So right now it is estimated that Web3 or the digital creative economy is about $1 trillion economy globally. And that's why we are arranging this talk as well, this talk show or this panel discussion, because that's where each one of us can take part right now. And we have everything to be part of that economy. We just need to learn this and we can be part of that economy. And we can learn more how we can quickly invest in that. And for investments, we need to talk to Minhas. Minhas heads Fasset Pakistan. Fasset is a Pakistani team-led startup. They recently raised $20+ million. they raised $20 million for a crypto exchange, something like Binance. It is estimated that in Pakistan we have informally a crypto portfolio of $20 billion. So it's a huge parallel market that's emerging in Pakistan as well. So Naushad bhai, how we, being the younger technology ecosystem players and part of the technology ecosystems, can leverage that? And if you can please start with what is Fasset and how Fasset and companies like Fasset are contributing towards digital economy and Web3.
Sure. Can you hear me? Hello. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, so question is a big question. I try to do a synopsis of it. Question part number one, what Fasset is. So first of all, I cannot say while representing Fasset that we are Binance of Pakistan. We are not. Binance is a great company. I'm one of the fans and the user on Binance too. But we are exactly going to do what Binance is not doing. Fasset is not made for crypto bros. Fasset is made by a non-crypto user for non-crypto users. So Fasset is based on the use cases. We are working with every government. We align, our superpower is we align ourselves with the government issues. Noman was telling that there could be a capital flight by virtue of all these digital assets players already operative in Pakistan. They are unbelievable. They are very creative. People are earning money. They are learning. Unfortunately, when they are not licensed, there is a capital flight. So our cybersecurity protocols are aligned with the government mindset that somebody, if he's going to trade on digital asset, he or she has know your customer done. They cannot let the money go out of the system. Rather, the use cases of remittances, payments, salary transfer, they utilize those digital assets into their normal life. Does it make sense? And your Web 3.0 question, so Noman told this, Javaid was telling the same. Let me bit deep dive into it. Web 1.0, read only. Web 2.0, read and write. Understood? Web 3.0, read, write, and own. What is that ownership? So I put this thing the way Javaid was telling, vital signs, big fan, 44 years of age, Junoon and vital signs, die-hard fan. So I have a time machine, I go back 20 years ago at the offbeat store, and I see that Vital Signs has a concert going on in Marriott for 500 rupees. I went there, I did my headbanging, I participated, and Vital Signs got famous, right? I did not own it. Right now, if there is a Vital Signs which is going to be born in Pakistan or outside in Pakistan, we as a fan, we will equally own it. That is the power of Web 3.0. It eliminates the decentralized finance. It eliminates the middle platforms. Those middle platforms were Netflix. Those middle platforms were Uber. Those middle platforms were Facebook. So you have made a content. I have consumed a content. They have made money. So this is going to change. That is why Facebook has become a metaverse, because they knew it's going to happen. It's a decentralized finance. What's going to happen in Pakistan? We know that fiat is not going to go anywhere, obviously. So we are adjusting ourselves in Pakistan that we should become centralized, decentralized finance. What is centralized, decentralized finance? We are a digital assets platform, a multifaceted digital asset platform. That is why it's called Fasset. So you have all the digital assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, there. Stock exchange tokenization, there. Real estate tokenization, there. Like Imran was telling, some non-fungible tokens based on those arts and vital signs there. So you opening the app and the platform can diversify your portfolio into digital assets. Point number one. Point number two, most of the people, they cannot afford to invest in real estates or tangible assets. But in digital assets, these small parts we can mutually own. Does it make sense? Does it answer your question, sir?
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you very much, Naushad sir, for elaborating this. That's what really Web3 means and how it opens up new avenues of investments for all of us, for all of us. Now would I like to talk to Ms. Samina, that now she is producing coders, developers, and Web3 developers are one of the highest paid developers in the world right now, and what opportunities that opens us for us in Pakistan. Ms. Samina.
Thank you very much, Imran. Kamal, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you everybody for joining. Great panel, good learning. Let me take it to another point now. So we've talked about centralization, decentralization. We've talked about the financial aspect. For the past 25 years that I've been working in my life, I've worked with big tech and corporate. So when I was VP for Oracle in Singapore, we would deal a lot with augmented and virtual reality solutions. We would talk about AI, blockchain a lot. Personally, I think blockchain tends to be a problem, a solution looking for a problem still. Not quite worked out, not quite as secure and safe as it should be, but that's another discussion. But now with CodeforPakistan, and I'll explain a little bit later on over time what CodeforPakistan does actually. At an elevated level, let me just say, Web 1 से लेके Web 3.0 तक, it is not, we're very good with jargons, you know, कि किसी का नाम रख दें, whatever we like. Tech is very good with jargons. But beyond that, what basically it means is machine-to-machine communication. And at a population citizen level, it is democratization of power. I think that's the way you should look at it from the point of view of a citizen. So from cradle to grave, in a citizen's life, in a person's life, government lingers. In between, there are a lot of processes. And those processes for us over the years have been friction. They're not liquid, they're not fluid, they're not friction-free. कुछ भी imagine कर लें, you're going for a traffic driver's license, you're going for a death certificate, you're going for anything, CDA, property registration. There is a lot of friction, there is a lot of stress. Now with these Web 3.0 kind of, and we call it digital creative economy, whatever you may want to call it. By the way, in Pakistan, Bilal Lakhani writes in February 22, his article said, in Pakistan, the Web 3.0 economy is around $100 billion. Should be. Of course, there's constraints on that, I feel, in terms of we talk a lot about these technologies, but do we really have people who are filling that gap in terms of skills and knowledge? There's a big gap in there. What I'm trying to say is that when you talk about decentralization, the ownership of content at the citizen level, which is where CodeforPakistan engages with what we call participatory government, the citizen community mobilizing to participate in good governance, to create it, kind of not force but enable and empower and engage with the government to have better lives, to create better advantages and opportunities for the citizen. The democratization of power through 3.0 is the main thing. When you own, when you don't have to rely on a third party or a middle platform like we talked about a minute ago, Uber or anything else that you're doing right now, which was a Web 2.0 kind of environment, which was a great leap forward beyond one, for example. We are now talking about the empowerment, and around us in the political scenario today, you see that. Social media, and there was a professor at Harvard who many years ago said, over a decade ago said, that the web could take you in two directions. It could empower the citizen, it could empower the average human being to control what is fed and what they feed, or it could give power to the monopoly. So if Facebook was turning into a monopoly and now is Meta, there's a reason, because they understand that those monopolistic powers are now no more possible. But also I think that it is running in parallel, isn't it? We've got power through social media, but then the monopolies are also happening where they are stronger because of the data they control. Now the company that I work for 20 years, Oracle Corporation, owns a large percentage, not owns but is the custodian of or is the processor of good about 80% of the world's data. Imagine how that empowers that company. You can't get away from their technologies and their ownership and their power over you, even if you try. Except that now technologies are moving in that direction where this decentralization is happening and this democratization of information is happening. I want to talk a little bit, if I can, about the open movement. So when you have such power in each individual, that leads to or creates an environment for what you would refer to as open government. I'm now talking only of government, right? Open government or open data portals. In Pakistan, by the way, you would be surprised to know that an open data policy has already been approved in one province. One province, not federal. This is the KP province, of course. And we are working with the KP province on what we call the open data portal, where 6,000 data sets are going to be exposed and published for the citizens to use and write whatever else they want to write on top of it. So imagine that this movement is happening now in a country like Pakistan. However, there are those people who would like to dodge the open environment, and they take examples such as security, of data, too much transparency, maybe the, regulations don't allow it, etc., etc. We call them the dodgers. They are not going to get on the bandwagon of open data. But this is written on the wall now. It is going to happen. When these data sets get hosted and when they get published, you can imagine what can be done. You can use it positively, which basically means that you could write the assets on top of it and the content on top of it, which would empower you as a citizen, or you could misuse and abuse it, just the way social media is being done in a two-pronged situation, right? I want to end this particular answer. So I hope I've been able to explain to you that in a government and a public sector environment, the objective of getting value out of a digital creative economy, or what would be referred to a Web 3.0 based economy, are slightly different. But they have massive impact. It's exponential because the populations are 200 crore type of people, right? I just want to end with one point, and I've mentioned a few names to you. Bilal Lakhani, you must read his article. There is a lady by the name of Jennifer Palka, P-A-H-L-K-A. You must watch her TED Talk. She is married to a person by the name of Tim O'Reilly who coined the term Gov 2.0. Jennifer is the executive director and founder of Code for America. And we are all affiliates of a movement called Code for All across the world. Do read up on it. Jennifer says that these are jargons, Web 1, 2, 3, whatever, economy, digital, all of these little words that we use. She says they're all happening parallel. And one is going faster than the other. And where we end up, it doesn't matter what vehicle we're using. So whether it's augmented reality today, tomorrow it could be machine to machine in a more enhanced way. What is important is that the citizen is getting empowered more and more. And this cannot be stopped by any political machinations or any, new world order kind of agenda that anybody has. So basically, that's the advantage that one gets out of the new digital creative economy in Web 3.0. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samina. I just want to add one more question to you. Since we're sitting in NAS being one of the premier university in Pakistan, I really doubt even NAS or any other university really have started or included Web3 in their curriculums. So how do you see this gap between the job market and the graduates coming up, are we really prepared for this digital creative economy or the Web 3.0 economy?
So the reality is we're not, right? Absolutely big gap, Imran. I'll give you, sorry I'm taking time, but I'll
No, please.
Very well.
There is a tender, and I'm going to be a little critical, don't mind. There is a tender that has been out 3 times by the Ministry of IT and MOITT, whatever, telecom, IT and telecom, whatever it's called, which has been out 3 times now and still not decided. So they want to create some boot camps on 5 technologies. So they're like blockchain, AI, cloud computing, all the fancy jargons that you have. 3 times it has, and I want to speak in Urdu here. 3 dafa kar chuke aur ab tak final nahi hua. So the point is, you not only the students are there, but who's going to teach? You tell me who can teach blockchain in Pakistan today to some level of excellence. And you talk about universities. We can't just have just anybody. I can't go out and teach. I can tell you a lot of things on a practical level, but I'm not an authentic, certified, valid teacher. Those people are elevated people. They have a higher calling. So you can't run boot camps like that. So there is a gap. But let me tell you what can work, what can happen. At Code for Pakistan, we have a program called the Fellowship. What is it called, Mavish? The Government Innovation Fellowship, right? Which we run again in KP. I strongly urge everybody to study the progress of IT or ICT-based activities and initiatives being undertaken in KP. I sound biased, it's because I am. I've seen their work and I've seen other provinces and they're miles away from each other. In the fellowship program now, what we're trying to do is that whatever projects we undertake with the government partner, let's say traffic police, we've created an application. We called it the solution Rabta. Rabta meant it had challans, it has a few, let's just say Web 2.0 kind of a solution. We are now going to do Rabta 2.0, and Rabta 2.0 is going to be Web 3.0 based. So just imagine, for example, that, the Pakistani community may be uneducated, we like to use the politically incorrect term called illiterate. I don't use the word illiterate because just not being in university and college doesn't mean you're illiterate. There's other ways to learn, right? But we are not technology inhibited. You see that, right? Everybody can use a phone, smartphones. People who are completely cannot read and write are using smartphones, right? What if I was to walk by or drive by traffic or motor vehicles department, and the moment I walk by, there's a sensor that detects I'm there and sends me a message saying, Samina, your driver's license is due for renewal, or if you walk in today, there's less of a crowd and you can probably get this done. So this is the kind of level of efficiency, and I talk about friction in the processes of government for citizens. This is how fluid you could make a process using these technologies. So we have a fellowship program that aims to do that. What I'm trying to answer here is the question you asked, where is the gap? There is a huge gap. So this 100 billion that Bilal Lakhani talks about, this is like pie in the sky until there are people who can actually do this. In the past, sorry to say, in Pakistan, children, I call them children, I mean kids, young people at university, have learned in spite of the government, not because of government enablement. And I think until government realizes this, that we can learn so much by ourselves, only so much. After that, we do need some support. We need like 20 NUSTs, one NUST which is superior and gold standard is not enough. There's got to be more. And we've got to think around how we're going to fulfill or bridge that gap.
Yeah, that's a very valid point, Ms. Minhas, that we just not need one NUST, we need like 100 plus similar NUSTs. So that's where we can really feed this innovation economy or the digital creative economy. There is a huge...
I want to add, can I do that on the skill side? So, I joined the government part about 7 months ago, and there are a lot of interesting learnings that I had as well. It turns out that Pakistan, where there are about 25,000 graduates that are associated with ICT that come out every year.
And 10 years ago, it was also 25,000. Let me tell you.
Our
So-
population was lower though. So
What's that?
our population was 10 year was
Yes, so
lower.
मतलब 5,000 हो गए.
Yeah, we're digressing.
The challenge is not the 25,000. The challenge is only 3,000 of them are deployable.
Yes.
So we're just bringing in kids, putting them through some rigorous programs of, like you said, Samina, of curricula that was designed back in the day. And every facet, whether it's the university or even schools, is going through this. In May, during the final exam season, or April, my daughter came to me, she's 13 years old, and she said, Baba, can you teach me some of these computing things for her class? And as I started reading the notes she gave me, I said, hey, what book is this from? She said, I have no idea. So I looked at the bottom, I Googled it, and I realized, and I told her, even before I Googled, I said, this looks like it's from the 90s. And lo and behold, the published year was 1991. So हमारे किसी एक साहब या खातून ने कोई एक चीज पढ़ ली होती है और वो उसको उसी तरह आगे करे. Secondly, there's another myth going on in Pakistan that a 4-year degree is bad, and we just can use 2-year degrees, and that's more than enough because I had the opportunity to sit in some of these meetings that was run by the president, and we even had Silicon Valley diaspora sitting there and guiding us directly on how we in Pakistan can solve our own problems from their lens, interestingly. They kept on saying that, we just need a 2-year degree, and HEC should just allow these 2-year degrees, which is interesting. So HEC is a partner of ours in our effort to develop these zones with the authority. And as we talked to them about HEC, they had a very interesting perspective. They said that, we're happy to do this, but a 2-year degree is not socially acceptable. Kids get rejected for marriage just because they have a 2-year degree, not a 4-year degree. Now think about the cultural aspect of this in our country. कि एक तरफ एक need है to get to certain something, learn the skill, go through a boot camp after that and be immediately deployable. And the second is a very real aspect के शादी नहीं होगी बच्चे तुम्हारी, right? So we're living in a very, very convoluted, hard reality in Pakistan where we are relying on a lot of the self-learning that a lot of these kids that do freelancing, right? And freelancing has done well, interestingly, in Pakistan because, like you said, they've done well in spite of the government, not because of the government. And Pakistan is now on a tipping point from being number 4th largest freelancer to the 3rd largest freelancer. We're almost at the tipping point as well. And if you talk to the large software houses and the associations that deal with these companies, they are challenged because they lose their talent to this as well, right? Kids that, would typically have a career are now just going up to Fiverr and all these other, gig economy sites and starting to do things that way, where they go from skill to skill to skill to skill, but not build things for the future as well. So I think हमें अपने parameters of success को भी अपने cultural relevance के साथ define भी करना into what success really means for us. इसमें कोई शक नहीं है कि producing 25,000 graduates and only 3,000 deployable, that's a shame. We need to work on that. But
as a country, 25,000 graduates out of the 130 million youth that we have is not enough. We should have at least 150,000 graduates a year. And
Your code for Pakistan should be
be a code for 1 million. I think Shahid, you were telling me about a
1 million Arab coders.
1 million Arab coders. There's a program, 1 million Arab coders, right? So we need to start employing these other types of programs as well that have been done. And having 20 NUSTs independently
working on those silos is also detriment to this. We need something that brings it all together somehow, where harmoniously you're leveraging each other's learnings to make it better. We don't like to use India's examples in most cases, but if you study how the model of the Indian Institutes of Technologies have done, there are I think about 8 or 9 or 10 IITs, you're probably familiar with them. Now these are premier engineering institutes in that country, and they started pumping effort, I'm going to say effort, not money, effort into them back in the 70s and the 80s. They started producing the top graduates. The top 10 of the bachelor's programs that would come out of these these IITs would have direct placements in the top 5 US tech universities as well. Maybe the MITs and the Stanfords and the others of the world, right? And यहाँ से ये जाते रहे, वो पूरा एक cycle बनता रहा. Indians started to come up the ranks of the various pieces in the US and the UK. They kept producing more and more, and there came a point where they started sending work back. So you've got a cycle of education that way, and then you've got a cycle of work coming back that way. Each of them started feeding each other. We are just shooting one places here and there, and we cannot even deploy the 25,000. So I think holistically, it's a big opportunity to understand what the gap is, but the gap with our cultural elements as well. ये शादी वाली बात is important to our country because because हम मुसलमान हैं, हमें बहुत सारी शादियां करके बच्चे भी करने होते हैं. For some reason that's been etched in the memory. I don't know why. That's the right word. So I think that I don't know if that answers your question, but the challenge is deeper. It's not just giving that skill set. It's that skill set with the context of our culture. उसको थोड़ा सा सोचो.
Yeah, that's the whole idea that we need to highlight the challenges from this platform as well. And then yes, so yes. Rizwan sir, your point that how Web3 is creating challenges and opportunities for technology and IT sector.
Thank you very much. I mean, it's been a very enlightening panel so far, and I hope I can add some value to it. There's actually a lot to unpack in all of this. I mean, it's a very enlightening discussion. The main thing I would like to actually bring back the subject of enablement by the government, and I really need to open up on that. When you talk about enablement, you need to understand that regulations also come in with the enablement whenever public policy gets involved. Right? So when public policy is involved, the government gets involved, then regulations also come in, which isn't always a bad thing. Right? So I'm going to act as the villain over here, if that's okay. The problem over here is that when we're talking about Web 3.0, we're talking about digital assets. Ultimately, an asset has to create the capability for you to have food on your table in the evening, right? It has to translate into some sort of a value. The Constitution of Pakistan gives you the right to own property, to own an asset, and that right is also guaranteed by the government. So the government actually again comes back into this loop, and it actually ensures that whatever is your property, it remains your property and you can translate it into some other value. So this is a very important aspect. Whenever we talk about Web 3.0, we have to close this particular loop. So it's not that bad a thing. Now, when we talk about the regulations and how the public policy is being handled in Pakistan, unfortunately, it's not a very positive scenario. I have been engaged with some of the processes involved and how a policy has been actually moved through the government circles. So there are various challenges related to this, especially when you talk about technology. With technology and public policy being interrelated, it becomes a huge challenge because the typical, and I'm sorry to say this, the typical bureaucrat would not have the relevant understanding to actually absorb that and to understand how to move this policy forward. So this also becomes another challenge. It can be addressed. It's not something that is completely out of the book. It is not something that should become a hindrance for everything. When we're talking about bringing finance, we're talking about bringing ownership onto the Web 3.0. So this is a very critical issue. How it can be addressed? I mean, when we talk about this enablement, so let me talk about the particular aspect of enablement. Enablement happens in the sense that we need the environment, as we've already talked about.
Sorry,
for the
Rizwan,
I'm sorry.
I need to interrupt you. We will tea break up right after this session. So हमने जो आपको इतना बोर किया एंड में आपको चाय पिला के दोबारा से एनर्जीज रिवाइव करवाएंगे.
बोर हो रहे हैं?
No, it's very purely about the session. I'm thoroughly enjoying this.
इससे अच्छी डिस्कशन हमने नहीं की.
इन बेचारे के अच्छी वाली कॉन्वर्सेशन के बीच में आपने कह दिया वो बोर हो रहे हैं.
I'll get back to you on this.
He owes you.
I will not let it go. So I'm sorry. With regards to the enablement, we've already talked about the universities, the bridging of the gap that is already there. Let me talk about another very interesting aspect. That is the interdisciplinary research. I mean, it's happening in NUST. I'm very proud of that. I'm also a NUSTian. It's happening in NUST. It should happen elsewhere as well. We need to actually, if you go back like 20 years ago, engineers were doing their MBAs. There were a lot of them who started doing MBAs, and then they started becoming business leaders as well. And that was a good movement. Now we need engineers that actually do research in public policy. You have to actually have people who are from the engineering background. They come forward, they dedicate themselves to public policy, they work on internet governance, they work on all the latest issues, they work with ICANN, with the numbering, naming conventions, everything related to that, the entire complete spectrum of that. And then they need to be able to actually, engage with the government circles that are involved in all of this. So this is possible. Right, we have industry collaborations with the universities. We need to have public policy collaborations. So the academia needs to lead in this. The academia needs to come forward and actually create that sort of an environment in which Web 3.0 and other similar instruments that are actually going to change the entire landscape of the internet. We need to actually have people who understand all of this, who are engineers by profession, and who have the public policy background to actually take this forward. And then when the academia moves forward in this, we have wonderful, under the President of Pakistan, and there were different, which also Javaid was also talking about, there were wonderful committees in which academia was also involved. Right? What happens is that mostly the academia is represented by hardcore academicians who are engineers, right? We need public policy specialists who are also engineers. So let's make that happen. I mean, NUST is an excellent platform with interdisciplinary research also taking place. Let's make that happen, right? I hope that.
Thank you very much, Rizwan. We're building on that. कि NUST पे हम बैठे हुए हैं, not just NUST, but सारा जो एकेडेमिया है उन वी नीड टू कैच अप। जो वेब 2 से 3 में जो ट्रांजिशन है वो इतनी रैपिड है कि पाकिस्तान में अभी तक कोई भी इंस्टीट्यूट उसको कैच अप नहीं कर सका। और स्पेशली उससे एक क्लाइंट रीच आउट टू अस कि उन्होंने रियल एस्टेट में वर्क फोर्स हायर करने को 100 को नास्ट हैज टेकन द लीडरशिप। यहाँ पे ऑलरेडी एक रियल एस्टेट डिप्लोमा हो रहा है के साथ ग्रानर के साथ में, बट देयर इज मोर नीड इन द इंडस्ट्री, रियल एस्टेट इंडस्ट्री ग्लोबल। अभी अच्छा वही हम वेव नहीं कैच अप कर पाए। ये 6 महीने बाद फ्रैक्शनल ओनरशिप ले आएगी। सो रियल एस्टेट के अंदर एक और बहुत बड़ी ट्रांजिशन हो गई है। रियल एस्टेट इज जस्ट वन इंडस्ट्री। So Web3 is going to transform multiple aspects of business within Pakistan as well. So academia, हम सबको भी realize कर रहा है, being startups, being talent working in tech industry, we all need to transit at this pace because then we can unlock the opportunities. और आपसे मेरा आखिरी चारों से यही question है कि how to unlock these opportunities. हमने ये डिस्कस कर लिया, बहुत सारे challenges भी हैं, बट इन सब हम सब के लिए ये अपॉर्चुनिटीज कैसे अनलॉक हो सकती हैं? व्हाट्स योर एडवाइस?
So it seems very, I'm audible?
Yeah. Yes.
So it seems very complicated. It was complicated. Put yourself in my shoes. 4 months ago, Web 3.2, blockchain jargons. I am not a coder. Which Samina is referring to that article of Bilal, which tells us that it's $100 billion opportunity in Web 3.2 jobs or being an entrepreneur. There are multiple examples. For example, my colleague Javaid, who is Director Growth and Marketing in Fasset right now, he was working with Kispay also. That is Web 2.0 project. He immediately shifted into Web 3.0 project. He is not a coder. So there are product jobs, there are marketing jobs, there are UI UX jobs, there are partnership jobs, there are sales jobs. It's not just about having a technical blockchain job.
Yeah.
So that is what we are doing right now. We just have signed a partnership with Youth Ministry that Fasset in Pakistan is going to train on Web 3.0, 1 year exclusivity. And we are not asking for, as Samina was telling, that for RFPs and money. We have raised money from Liberty City Ventures. Liberty City Ventures is the third topmost venture capitalist in the world who gives money towards Web 3.0, blockchain and digital assets. We have raised money from Fatma Gobi Ventures, which is Pakistan's topmost venture capitalist. This $22 million is not for my salary. This $22 million is for the education in Web 3.0. Until and unless we cannot plant that seed, we cannot train you, we cannot become a Web 3.0 platform. So if NUST would like to have that partnership done with us, with Code4Pakistan, a tri-party agreement, a government thing, I'm 100% available over here. I was just learning myself. We are operative in Bangladesh, Indonesia, Pakistan, Dubai, Nigeria, Turkey. We have a plan to have 1 billion new users in all emerging markets. While saying so, I'm all ears. Let me know how we can help. Fasset could help. We are scaling right now on towards Series B also. So let me.
Sure. Thank you very much, Mr. How to unlock the opportunities?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I mean, that's actually what we are all sitting here for. We already talked about IT being horizontal, right? It is a horizontal. It means that everybody from every walk of life has to be involved in whatever is related to the IT and relevant technologies. So whether you're a medical practitioner or anybody else, yes, there are applications out there. There are applications and solutions that can be created for this. So the ability to create, I mean, that is one thing that is unmatched even by the latest artificial intelligence. So value that, value creativity, As employers, we at Inbox also take a lot of pride in this, that we always try to move towards having more creative people and to actually do more creative work. But that's the more important thing. So we need to enable that. We need to actually move forward.
Thank you very much.
So I want to drop a couple more names for you that you can Google and read about. Very interesting. There was a ex-CEO of Mercedes-Benz. Actually, the whole article doesn't give his name, and I could never remember what it was. When he was retiring in 2017, he wrote an article about where technology would take, and he was speaking of it from the point of view of cars, of course. When Tesla had first been, or not Tesla, but self-driven cars had first been started to be introduced, and he had talked about where it could go. Do look it up. Just go and Google something like Mercedes-Benz MD article in maybe 2017. Read it, and he talks. I don't want to go into detail, but it's like a sequence of events. He says when there are not that many cars on the road, there could be. I don't think I need this actually. There would be less parking space needed, and when there's less parking space needed, there could be more parks rather than parking lots. Then he said if there's less drivers on the road, the insurance companies would not be needed. Hospitals would have fewer deaths. He went, and this was 2017, and fast forward today, that could probably happen because the technology has come around, right? That's one name I wanted to drop. The other one, many years ago, when I was MD Oracle Pakistan, I had invited NASCOM from India to come to Pakistan. So iFlex, Infosys, Tata, they were all here. We had great hopes that we would be amongst the leaders at that time. Sadly, that didn't happen, our own fault, nobody else's. Mrs. Sudha Murthy, who's the head of Infosys Foundation, had come down. What a wonderful lady and what a down-to-earth individual. And she said to me, my dear, revolutions don't happen with 5,000 graduates, to your point. She said revolutions happen with 500,000 graduates. And she said, don't think that, because I was kind of saying to her, Indian graduates doing IIM, IIT, whatnot, And I had taken them all to LUMS, in fact, to showcase LUMS to them. That was a great success. They were very, very happy to see that. But she said, don't think that the Indian graduates are really exceptional. We used to call them curry on the shirt kind of people who would, leave a UET Taxila or something and end up in Silicon Valley and do really well, but they wouldn't know how to conduct themselves. So she said, don't worry about that. Most of us are average people. These average people have to be given their, you have to see what space they can exist in and help them grow. These are 2 points I wanted to drop to you. A third thing then therefore I want to say to you is, Imran, you mentioned coding. Code for Pakistan, we call it Code for Pakistan, but we do not create coders. Coders are, web full stack developers, web developers, of course they're very much part of us. But in our fellowship program, so this is the alternate teaching and, not teaching, alternate learning method. In a fellowship, what we do is, we have, let's say, 20 fellows, one class, one cycle as we call it. In those 20 fellows, we will create 2 to 3 to 4 groups. One group would consist of something like a journalist, a UX UI designer, a government person, a full stack developer, maybe a content writer.
The entire spectrum.
Yeah, the spectrum as you talked about. And we would then go to the government department, could be livestock, could be traffic, could be security, could be anything. And we would go to that government department and we would say problem statement there. In fact, we don't have to go, we get hundreds of problem statements from the government bodies. And then we validate it, we put it through a process, and then we assign that project to these 5 people. This group, a wholesome group of multifaceted skills and knowledge. They design and they use some Code for All or Code for Pakistan experts for architecting
They would use me as a sounding board. Mavish would come in and give them some comms expertise on that. We have some very skilled volunteers who work with us to do the oversight on a project. By the end of 6 months, we go through user testing, we go through validations, we go through iterative sustainability models, we do what we call monitoring and evaluation throughout the process. And at the end of it, we have a solution that is deployable. And many of the solutions we created through a fellowship are deployed. Now, this is an alternative learning method, because as you rightly said, that book out of 1991 somebody has written, and that's all they do, it's one-dimensional. This friend of mine, Mo Idris, who's one of the CxOs, he's I think COO of Rain Group, Mo said to me, I don't even want somebody with a degree. I don't care. Give me a bright Pakistani and I will teach him, because frankly, somebody with a degree, I'm going to spend 6 months making them unlearn what they've learned and then make them learn. So not visiting at a university, I don't want to belittle that. We've all gone to uni, like you said. लड़कियों की भी अब शादी नहीं होती है अगर उनके पास डिग्री ना हो, लड़कों को तो छोड़ दे. So I don't want to belittle that. Of course, there's a lot of value in that, but I think an alternative method of learning has to be conjured up by us, you know, and universities have to own it, and university faculty who are the leaders must lead it. Otherwise, those 500,000 are never going to be born, and no revolution is going to happen. Mr. Aminul Haq, who's the Minister for IT, who incidentally I'm very impressed with. He's not an IT man, he knows not the first thing about IT. But because there has been consistency in that ministry, because that was one ministry given to MQM, and government has come and gone and come and gone, it has not mattered. They have been consistent. After Khalid Maqbool, Aminul Haq came. I attended the pre-budget conference held by Miftah Ismail not long ago. And there was a lot of fancy talk, much of it didn't make sense to me. All I could see was that Aminul Haq spoke sense, and he said, he looked Shahbaz Sharif in the eye and he said, 3 years ago we were making 1.8 billion in exports, today we're making 3.8 billion, and I am telling you in the next 2 years I'm going to be textile and make 15 billion. Inshallah. And I think that's doable. 100 billion maybe not, but 15 to 20 billion is doable. This could be exponentially grown if this program by the President, under which this MOIT boot camp is supposed to happen, could be handled by an alternative learning process. And that community is not being developed. I know people in USA, for example, we all know them. There's a company called Extreme Labs that was ready to come in and do all of this, because the CEO happens to be a Pakistani American, very passionate how they are. They want to come in and resolve our problems, like you said. So, but that never took off. So I think unless we embrace each other and we take up something like a fellowship model, which I have learned about after I joined CodeforPakistan, and I am thoroughly impressed with it, unless we embrace that and deploy that sort of a model, I don't think we're going to create that revolution. That 100 billion that Bilal Lakhani talks about ain't going to happen. So that's my 2 bits.
Thank you very much. Javaid, we have the same question and you short reply.
I've been thinking while all these were talking, okay, how should I answer this question? We all, I know, have a lot to say. I'll break it into 2 dimensions. One's the outward part and one's what's happening inside. If you look at the outward part, I don't think it's a ज़्यादा unprecedented time कभी हुआ है कि where the demand is off the roof and the supply is not there of tech know-how globally. और हमारी बदनसीबी है कि हमारे पास 130 million millennial and we are not able to somehow catapult that and capitalize on that as well. That's the external part. Imran, you said something about unlocking the opportunity. I think COVID unlocked the opportunity. It connected the world and showed the world that it is not only okay, but very acceptable to be sitting somewhere else and working somewhere else. So outward part is there. The market for us is there. How are we positioned internally as a country with all the facets, whether it's the government or the academia or the industry, which is, by the way, the foundation of the STZA, the triple helix model, where all of this comes together. And you know, I mentioned a boat we missed of building knowledge ecosystems as well. Some of the boats that we've missed in building the rails of digital economy were interesting because the rails are there. Post 9/11, the entire country was digitized from a people perspective. I think Nadra has one of the most fantastic databases in the world.
Yes.
I've talked to US innovators, US regulators about how the concept of Khandan number, जो आप lineage map करता है Nadra, most cannot even fathom that because they have not conceptually architected their people that way. And we had this 20 years ago, and we've done nothing with it as a people.
Yeah, the greatest secret kept by Pakistan. Absolutely.
Who knows? Now, if this rail was there and the other financial rails that can be sit on top of that, communication rails can be sit on top of that, learning rails can be sit on top of that as well. I think internally all we have to do is put the pieces together. Pieces are there. I think what I'm seeing in the last 5 years that I've been back in the country back from the US, I realized that pockets exist. Everyone leverages their outward connections to their advantage only, and don't share with a little bit of a fear that if we share, they'll lose it. And hence it doesn't multiply, it doesn't integrate, it doesn't come up in this. So while we're trying to solve a small problem, we realize that the people here do not comprehend that part. So when I came back, I'll give you a little bit of that journey and I'll take a few more minutes, I think. I started in 2017 educating large corporates, their boards and others around what technology of innovation is, what digital innovation is. I was Karachi based, so I started teaching courses at executive education at IBA. And every time I'd go teach that, because my core business was consulting, they say, oh, why don't you tell our CEO? I said, okay. Started teaching the CEOs about it. CEOs came to me and said, please go tell our boards. So I went to the Pakistan Institute of Corporate Governance, and I said, I took a 5-day governance training, director's training course, and at the end I went to the head of it and I said, I've been sitting here for 5 days, you're talking about running companies, the word technology or innovation or even digital did not even show up, let alone a conversation on it. The word didn't show up. And the person, a very solid man, was very British style, astute bureaucratic stuff. He said, well, it's implied in the forms of some accounting stuff. I said, implied in what? I don't understand what you're saying. Because if I am TCS, and I've talked to Khalid Wansab about this as well, if I'm going and delivering a package or delivering a package on the way back, I can, bring some. Kareem is going and delivering somebody or dropping somebody on the way back, they can bring a package as well. What's TCS's business model, right? So we've not thought through these levels of innovation that way, and our people at the top, or people in the middle, or people at the bottom, just have not had that connection. I think the pieces exist, they just have to be gelled together, and we have to get out of the romance of Silicon Valley Pakistanis coming and saving us. Because even it took me about 4 to 5 years to really unlearn a lot of that. And we learn how technology is done Pakistani way. Because every time we try to go solve that problem with an AI blockchain, there is a foundational element of AI, which is a data structure, Oracle, which has to have an algorithm written on top. And if you have not put anything in database, how will you put an AI model on top? So हम उस बड़ी shiny object के पास ज़्यादा जा रहे हैं, अपने foundations नहीं बना रहे हैं for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And that is what bothers me. That's what I'm hoping. If you take nothing out of this, at least my conversation, take out of this conversation that the foundations exist, just have to be brought together, and inshallah, I would take it. That's the opposition.
Thank you very much to all the esteemed panelists. And what I have learned today is, whatever you are doing, whatever, and if you are not studying Web3, Metaverse, it's quite possible that within 2 years will be irrelevant. So thank you very much all the esteemed panelists. We're really grateful to you. A big round of applause for these people. Thank you very much for spending time. It was lovely listening to you, lovely learning from you. I would now like to invite Dr. Rizwan, who's Director NSTP, for his closing remarks.
Thank you very much to the organizing members or the company who did a very good job, specifically for me also that I get a chance to meet my colleague, Dr. Ali. So after a long time, and specifically this type of event in the university or science tech park is basically that the people we are looking for to provide opportunity to the students, to the community in a two-way, for example, the awareness and the networking. So I really got so much information from the so much experienced guys, and this should be distributed in a way that you guys, we should invite these guys to our university on a regular basis to some of the courses, like for example entrepreneurship courses. We in the university try to initiate to invite you guys to share the experience, because as sir mentioned that we need to work on the foundations. So yes, yeah. So I think the university is trying, or the NSTP built in this vision that we need to create so the people or our bright future in a way for more minds with entrepreneurship and innovation. So I'm really thankful once again, sir, for the organizer who did a very good job, and I'm really thankful to you, sir, all of you, and I hope you enjoy the place. If not, then after this I will do a quick round to you about the NSTP, which build in a way to go in a line that you guys mentioned. So thank you very much, sir, and thank you very much to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Guys, would you like to ask any questions, or I'm trying to
One question.
It's a quick one question. Try to please.
Very enriching discussion. My name is Shahid. I work for Javaid. He's my boss. I look up strategic communications at STZA. So there are two things I want to say. Highlight a problem and throw basically an idea for you to discuss, right? So my background, I studied for 12 years in Sarkari school, government school, primary, middle, high, government school, total 100% Sarkari education. Then I went to Australia, I studied there, I came back, I studied at LUMS, and now I work for the government. So I come from the demographic dimension which can either make you and break you, because for better or worse, we are the sort of demographic which can't run with Pakistan, right? So LUMS is like a human resource exporting factory. They produce graduates, 25% of them leave Pakistan and never come back. They don't even want to be here, and for good reasons. I can understand why, but they're not contributing back to Pakistan, right? Maybe some of them feel bad 20 years down the track and they come back and they want to get back. I think 60% of your population is from the rural areas. The youth bulge we talk about, the UN talks about, 2047 Pakistan is the youngest country in the top 5 countries in the world. The five biggest countries in the world, Pakistan is the youngest country. So that is an opportunity. So where's the solution path to this entire paradigm of education and empowerment and everything else? We had a visit from an organization called CxO. Javaid can give details privately if required. They are Russia's leading technology organization. So it is headed by a former deputy prime minister. And they are building technology parks all across Russia. And they presented, during one of their presentations, they had a very elaborate, very beautiful presentation how they are conducting tech transformation in Russia. One particular thing that comes to mind, right over the top of my memory, was a concept called glass rooms. So what they've done is they've created a virtual environment where the best teachers, best lecturers, best professors available in Russia, from all the way from Russian Academy of Sciences, which is the apex body in Russia, they come to teach there, and they've connected it to a $200 million satellite, which Russia has a space program, they can afford it, maybe we can too. They have connected it to satellite data link, and through those satellite data links, they have a cloud system which beams it even in Siberia or across the Volga, wherever it's needed, right? So they are educating Russian children down to a small village where they have let's say a middle school. They have classrooms available, they have power available, they have water available, basic amenities, right? And they're able to pass on the best available knowledge. Most, your aap problem highlight kar rahe the, Javaid said as well, the 1990s ki books padhai jani, right? So you can actually beam updated knowledge and cascade it down where it is required. Why are you not teaching coding to a graduate, to a grade 8 kid, girl or boy, regardless, in Pakistan's rural areas? Because they're going to stay here. They are going to give you the numbers. You're talking about 5 million coders or 10 million coders or 8 crore coders, whatever you want to call it. This is where the cavalry is going to come from. This is where the infantry is going to come from, right? So this is not a question for you. This is just something for you to think about. Technology solution is available. You're from Oracle, you know. Javaid, one of the biggest tech companies in the world, knows that this is possible today. The problem is, why is it not happening? You have the best minds in the world. As part of Stratcom, I
have to interrupt you. So we're running short of time.
Sorry.
I'll just quickly, maybe on behalf of everybody, answer a very simple thing. It's not this is being done now. Everything that you're saying, there are Salman, Uski Academy, Khan Academy, Salman Khan. It is doing the same thing. There are alternative models, and I agree with you that the cavalry will come from this lot, the Sarkari school, right? By the way, we talked about COVID, not enough, we should have talked more about it. It has been a boon and a bane at the same time, right? It has, this entire freelancing community has literally discovered itself because of COVID, I believe. They have discovered that sitting in Jung and Tando Alayar, I can do this and make money, right? So this has happened again in spite of government or without government. This has been an organic thing. And this sort of thing, plus strategically organized and well thought out programs are happening. One or two things at a very strategic level in the country, you can talk about single curriculum. We don't have, Nehru put it into India 70 years ago, we did it, right? We have not bridged the gap of class, we have in fact extended the gap of class. Today in Pakistan, even bathrooms are separate. You go down the motorway, you will find a clean bathroom and a dirty bathroom, right? You pay 50 rupees for a clean bathroom. This is criminal, I believe, although I use the 50 rupee bathroom. So very hypocritical of me also. But all of this is being done, but can we do one national curriculum? Can we abandon the class differential and really work on it? Maybe it is happening now at the political level, maybe it will happen elsewhere.
Can be tried.
It can be tried. The solutions are there. It's not rocket science, right? That revolution, and let me tell you, my prediction is maybe not in my lifetime, but in the lifetime of these young people, It will happen. It is written on the wall. You cannot fight a tsunami when it's going to happen because there is just that much impetus. Yeah, it could be accelerated if the government bodies would enable it more, and the university is at the center of it. The educational institute has to be at the, the underpinning power behind it. But your point is correct, but I don't think there's any rocket science around it, whether it's the Russian model or the Estonian model or the Turkish model. The Turks have a program called Fasset. You should read about that, where they have decided that from primary to secondary school they will put out 100 coders. They're talking purely of coders. By the way, the princesses of Badr in Pakistan happened a decade ago.
Yeah.
If anybody remembers, the Java princesses. It went nowhere. It's a matter of political will more than the strategy planning. The strategy was there, the will was not there. But I won't take any more of your time.
मैं जमीन भाई की एक बात ऐड करूँ तो in bits and pieces we have everything there. We just need to build on top of that. और वो फिर younger lot और हम सब का उसमें रोल है कि हम उन bits and pieces को translate कर लें something meaningful. Anybody else like to ask this? Yes, please. Sir, quick brief question and the last question.
Very small question.